Coming up on Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems, Pat and Corey take a look at the contract of Cole Hamels and what a future contract could look like for Kyle Kendrick. With Mike Trout in town, the guys take a look at his amazing start to his career.
Hey, and I'm Floyd. We've been talking about Ken Giles all season long. We caught up with him here at the weekend series for the Reading Fightins in Trenton. That's coming up on Phillies Nation.
And I've got the batter's inbox questions. That's all ahead on Phillies Nation.
Welcome to Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. We are here at McStew's in Levittown, just off of New Falls Road. Pat Gallen and Corey Seidman with you. Well, they almost did it. They almost swept the Mets, but once again, it was a bullpen implosion that kept them from doing that. And of course, we keep talking about the bullpen and the interesting things that Ryne Sandberg has done with them all season long. And we know on Sunday, Jake Diekman, Mike Adams, and Jonathan Papelbon all unavailable, and that hurt them big time in the end.
It's unacceptable to have three guys, the three top relievers in your bullpen, all unavailable for a game. It's one thing if Papelbon can't go because of the general soreness, mostly in the neck area, but the fact that Diekman and Adams had both pitched Friday and Saturday, they combined for 90 pitches, those two, on Friday and Saturday, each pitched full innings. So they were unavailable as well, and when you have three guys in a top-heavy bullpen that are unable to go, you're not going to win a game, and we saw this earlier in the season when Jonathan Papelbon was unable to go against the Braves. Jake Diekman came into a save opportunity, and he blew it. Right. I still think that Braves loss was the worst loss of the Phillies season.
Worse than that one?
I still think that was the worst loss because Dominic Brown hits the go-ahead three-run homer, but this game this past Sunday against the Mets, that's got to be second worst because you were 3 outs away from your first road sweep in 29 tries, and the Phillies just couldn't get it done.
So would you call that mismanagement? Because then you look at Roberto Hernandez. He has to rely on a guy who threw 100 pitches on Friday to come in relief on Sunday instead of using Luis Garcia or Jeff Manship. Is that mismanagement?
Ryne Sandberg is doing the best he can with limited parts in that bullpen. I mean, it's not his fault that he has to keep turning to Jake Diekman because Diekman's one of the only reliable guys. Diekman's on pace for 81 appearances, and that's with him kind of not using Diekman as much as he did earlier in the season. There's a point early in April when Diekman was on pace for like 100+ appearances. So when you have so few options in the bullpen, there's not really much you can do. It's something that he's going to feel his way out. You know, you're not thinking about Sunday's game when you're in Friday's game and you need Mike Adams to come into a one-run game. Right. But it really prevented the Phillies from sweeping a series in a really deflating way to end the series.
Yeah, and one of the guys who's really struggling right now is Antonio Bastardo, and they've been relying on him quite a bit because they really have no one else to rely on at this point. So what do you see with Bastardo right now? It's been ugly, and they have to keep going back to the well, don't they? 10 of the 17 first batters that he's faced when he comes into a game have reached base. It's an on-base percentage close to 600, and it just continues to be an issue with him. The ball strike count, it's like 55 to 45 strikes to balls ratio this year. And, you know, this is the product of a bullpen that is so top-heavy. You have Jonathan Papelbon making $13 million. You have Mike Adams making $7 million. And then you have 4 guys in that pen who are making $600,000 or less. So there's not a whole lot of quality after the top couple arms, and the fact that Antonio Bastardo hasn't been reliable this season, that is killing the Phillies. It's good that you mentioned the money issue because they are paying a lot of money to the back end, and it's just not working overall. And also being paid a lot of money is one Cole Hamels. Still looking for his first win of the year. He got a no decision on Sunday, and still looking for career win number 100. He couldn't get that on Sunday either as the bullpen imploded. 7 innings, not bad, looked good. 133 pitches stands out. That's the most in the major leagues since Tim Lincecum's no-hitter last season when he threw 148. But they didn't have anything else to do. They had to rely on Cole Hamels for all those pitches. But even beyond that game, for this season so far, he's been a little rusty coming off the shoulder injury. Has he been able to earn that contract? You talked about it on CSNPhilly.com and the massive $144 million contract. Do you think that he's earning that pay?
I'll tell you, the way he pitched Sunday, that's the kind of outing that you need from a guy making $24 million a year. But really, to that point, from the time Hamels signed his extension right before the 2012 trade deadline until that starts Sunday, he had a 3.56 ERA, which over that span ranked 44th among Major League starting pitchers. So the contract is the 6th highest ever handed out to a pitcher. And the ERA since that contract is 44th best among Major League starters. I mean, you tell me, is that earning the money?
It's not earning money.
Cole has been great throughout his career. I mean, the Sunday's game, 10 strikeouts, the 24th double-digit strikeout game of his career. That's 7th best among active pitchers, which is probably the area I'd put him. I'd put him in like the 8 to 12 range among active pitchers, but it's just so much money to be paying one guy in a rotation where the top 3 are making $65 million this year.
All right, let's talk about another contract that could be coming for a Phillies pitcher, and that's Kyle Kendrick. And we've talked about him a lot, and he still sort of gets crap from the fan base because he's not the number 1 or number 2 starter, or maybe not even a number 3 starter. But he's a good back end of the rotation guy. And again, you talked about this on CSNPhilly.com about what he could get in the future. Now, he got $7.6 million this season. I wasn't a fan of it because I wanted a little more upside at the back end of the rotation. But it speaks for itself. Kyle Kendrick's been good.
He's been pretty good. ERA around 3.5, a lot of quality starts this year. And what I did is I went back and I looked at 4 pitchers who compare to Kendrick that signed contracts last offseason. Jason Vargas, who's a pretty good comp just in terms of stuff, strikeouts, walks, everything. 4 years, $32 million with the Royals. Scott Feldman, another similar pitcher to Kendrick. 3 years, $30 million with the Astros. Then you have Ricky Nolasco, who has better strikeout numbers, but really, over the last 3 or 4 years has been worse than Kyle Kendrick, ERA-wise. He got 4 years, $49 million from the Twins. So when I look at the starting pitching crop that is going to be reaching free agency this winter, Kendrick is not in Tier 1. He's not in Tier 2. He's not with the top guys that are in free agency, but he's in Tier 3. And if he gets signed early, for example, I think he could get like 3 years, $27 million. He's in line for a nice little payday. Really, the worst case scenario for Kendrick would be going to free agency and a couple of the guys in Tier 3 like Ryan Vogelsong, Jason Hamill, Carlos Villanueva, maybe they sign and then Kendrick's left to only take a 1-year deal, but it does look like he's going to get paid.
Yeah, Kyle Kendrick, though, I would expect that he would test the market. When we come back here on Phillies Nation, Jay talks to fireballer Kenny Giles. He was just promoted to AAA, and Jay got a chance to talk to him. So stay put. We'll come right back here on Phillies Nation.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
McStew's Irish Sports Pub in Levittown is a great place for sports fans. Come out and watch your favorite Philly teams on our 18 high-definition TVs. We've been voted Best of Bucks for our game day atmosphere, our drink specials, and our one-of-a-kind wings. And if you can't stick around, stop by our takeout store to pick up your favorite domestics, imports, and craft beers from all around the world. Visit us at facebook.com/McStews for info on all of our upcoming events. McStew's Irish Sports Pub at Bristol Oxford Valley Road and New Falls Road.
We're very excited to implement a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. At Summit Spine and Wellness, we combine chiropractic care, massage therapy, customized nutrition, personal training, and meditation. If you want to improve your health, take the 8 Week to Wellness Challenge like Dan, who lost 32 pounds, 6 inches off his waist, and 94 points off his cholesterol. We use a customized wellness score to measure your health and develop a diet and fitness plan just for you. Call our office at 215-487-2500 and ask about getting set up for your wellness score.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
Kenny Giles has been thriving thus far for the AA Reading Titans here in 2014. Sporting a 100-plus mile-an-hour fastball, the youngster seems poised to show what he's got at the big league level sooner than later. Giles, a New Mexico native, has been drawing buzz throughout the region, but according to his manager, the buzz isn't exclusive to the stands or the press box.
The funny thing is you hear it from both dugouts. As soon as he comes to the game, the other team's on the top step, our guys are on the top step. It's an exciting thing to see. You don't see it every day. And when a guy can do something that special, it's fun to watch.
I like to open people's eyes and like to prove people wrong. I've known since I've been drafted that a lot of people were a skeptic to me just because I was a hard thrower, but right now I'm trying to be a complete pitcher.
As Reading's closer, Giles has refined his arsenal, dropping the changeup from his repertoire, allowing him to focus more on his bread and butter, his slider, and his overpowering fastball.
Right now, I think I just need 2 pitches from now on. I don't like to get location mixed up and get more frustrated with another pitch. I like to just keep it simple.
Giles, the Phil's 7th-round pick from 2011, appeared in 4 Grapefruit League games with the big club this spring. He used the opportunity to learn from the big leaguers around him and feels that time will help him in the long run.
Cliff Lee, how he thought and how he liked to pitch, how Kyle Kendrick liked to prepare himself, and how even Palpabon prepared himself before games. I mean, everything watching all of them, I learned every little bits and pieces from them.
Coaches feel Giles has the right mindset for closer duties. He's known to display a complete change in demeanor as game time approaches.
Relief pitchers are a little bit different, I think, because they don't play every day, they don't know when they're playing, and all of a sudden, boom, the switch has got to flip. But, you know, the good ones know how to do it and are able to turn it on when they have to, and Kenny so far has been able to do that.
And Giles himself feels he's best suited for the job at the back end of the bullpen. But it's the game result that comes along with notching saves that Kenny focuses on the most.
It's a fun role. I mean, it fits perfectly with my personality, and all my teammates want me to do it. Whatever they want me to do, I'm going to do it just for them. And it's not just about me, it's about the whole team. If I'm going to help them win a ball game or keep us in line for a win, I'm going to do whatever I can.
Thank you, Jay. Some great stuff there with Kenny Giles. And just after Jay spoke to Kenny, he was promoted to AAA Lehigh Valley, which is good. And the Phillies organization wants to see him against more mature hitters, and I think that's a good thing because against AA, he was just blowing away the competition. 29 strikeouts, 5 walks in 15 innings with Reading.
I really liked what Ryne Sandberg said this past weekend when he said that the next test for Ken Giles is graduating to AAA, where he's going to face some more experienced hitters. There's a cliche now that AA you find better talent than you find in AAA, because AA it's more so prospects, whereas AAA it's former major leaguers on the way down. But the flip side of that is those young prospects don't have the same plate discipline that a guy who's coming down from the major leagues to AAA does. So when Giles is at AAA, he's not going to be able to get by a high fastball, a swing and miss. Maybe a guy takes it, a low and away breaking ball. Those are pitches that AA hitters might be less selective with than AAA hitters.
All right, let's go to the greatest segment of all time. It's called By the Numbers, and we started off with a pitcher who's done pretty well this year and has nothing to show for it. That's Jeff Samardzija of the Chicago Cubs. First pitcher in Major League history to go winless in his first 8 starts of a season while not allowing more than 3 earned runs. That's impossible, isn't it?
He'll be on a contender this summer. The Red Sox, a team like that, might trade for him. I guarantee you he's not with the Cubs through the end of this season. Yeah. But another guy who's doing really well early in the season pitching, Jose Fernandez. Yeah. Stellar numbers, but something that really strikes me is the difference between Jose Fernandez out of the windup and out of the stretch. Okay. Completely different guy. Out of the windup, he's averaging like 96 miles per hour with his fastball. Out of the stretch, 91, 92. Out of the windup, his opponents have hit 128. Out of the stretch, 353. Strikeout to walk ratio, 56-6 out of the windup, 14-7 out of the stretch. So I guess the key to Jose Fernandez, everybody's wondering how do you beat him? Put a guy on to start the inning and take your chances.
Yeah, he's got to not allow base runners or he's in trouble. That's pretty interesting because he's having such a good year. Such a talent, too. Also, we go to some Phillies by the numbers. Ryan Howard had 4 hits on Saturday. Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins also had multi-hits in that game. The 36th time that the three have had multi-hit games together for the first since September 20th of 2012 at Citi Field. It's been a long time.
Just wait till this trio reaches its prime, man. Then big things are going to happen. No, but Jimmy Rollins, we're seeing a kind of a reinvented Jimmy Rollins this year under Ryne Sandberg. I think that he finally has been told, like, Jimmy, you have to be more selective at the top of the order.
Absolutely.
And he has been. His walk rate, 12.9%. That's over 5 percentage points higher than his career average. 19 walks through Sunday. A 370 on-base percentage through Sunday.
That's unheard of with
Jimmy
Rollins.
Not the Jimmy Rollins we know. And the batting average has been high, too. Yeah. 276 after the weekend. And if you look at the last 5 years, there was only 1 year where his batting average to this date was higher. Most of those years, he's in the 220, 240 range. So really good to see Jimmy getting off to a good start. And I wonder how much longer it will be that he continues to produce until he gets moved back up to the leadoff role because he's just getting on base so much.
All right, Jimmy Rollins has been pretty good. Let's go to a segment that we call our Fantasy Baseball segment. It's presented by DraftStreet.com. It is the future of fantasy sports. Visit DraftStreet.com. Use the promo code Phillies Nation to sign up for free one-day fantasy leagues where you can win real cash prizes. Last week, we chose a player each. I went with Oscar Taveras from the St. Louis Cardinals. And I prefaced it with, he's not yet in the major leagues, and he probably won't be anytime soon, but if you're in a deeper league, you can stash him on your bench. He had 10 RBIs in the last 10 games.
I took Marcell Ozuna, and I hope you guys weren't relying on Marcell Ozuna to carry you last week because he went 4 for 20. Did have a homer and 2 RBIs, but he struck out 9 times. Yeah. Coming off a couple pretty hot weeks, he just cooled off. What can I say?
It's funny, we get to laugh at you finally after all my injury-riddled players that I've chosen. Let's pick 2 for this week. Who do you have?
I have Chase Headley, the Padres' third baseman, former MVP candidate. Had the most RBIs in the National League a couple seasons ago, and got off to a slow start this year. Strained calf, hit the DL. Came off the DL this past weekend, and in the weekend went 2 for 7, homer, 3 RBIs, 3 runs. You could do a lot worse at third base. I think that Chase Headley is a guy moving forward who you can expect like a 280 batting average, 380 on-base percentage, maybe 15 or so homers, 65, 75 RBIs. Pretty good.
My guy is Marlon Byrd. How is he available in almost 50% of Yahoo leagues? I don't understand it. He's hitting .312. He's giving you a little bit of power, but he's knocking in a ton of runs because Phillies are getting on base a lot more. Marlon Byrd, pick him up. Again, depth. He might not be a starter on all teams, but you can definitely play him in daily leagues.
He's going to give you the batting average. He's going to give you the doubles. The problem is this year he's also giving you the strikeouts, so if your league penalizes for strikeouts, that might hurt you.
All right, we're coming right back here on Phillies Nation with Ryan. She's got the batter's inbox questions. Don't go anywhere.
At Village Catering, we're committed to making your event one to remember. We are family owned and operated, and for more than 30 years, we've made our mark on Philadelphia as a go-to caterer for all of your special events. We're also the official caterer of the Flyers and Soul and the preferred caterer of Temple Athletics. We will work with you at customizing your off-site event, or you can have your event at our on-site facility, the Cottage Green, so that you'll feel like a guest at your own party. Contact us at 215-698-1117 or villagecatering.com, and we'll help you make a memory today.
McStew's Irish Sports Pub in Levittown is a great place for sports fans. Come out and watch your favorite Philly teams on our 18 high-definition TVs. We've been voted Best of Bucks for our game day atmosphere, our drink specials, and our one-of-a-kind wings. And if you can't stick around, stop by our takeout store to pick up your favorite domestics, imports, and craft beers from all around the world. Visit us at facebook.com/McStews for info on all of our upcoming events. McStew's Irish Sports Pub at Bristol Oxford Valley Road and New Falls Road.
Travel is not the exciting adventure it used to be. I still love the destination, yet getting there can be a hassle unless you travel like the pros. Major League Vacations offers exciting personal or group travel options to your team's away game or your favorite vacation destinations. MLV does all the legwork. You focus on the experience. For more than 20 years, MLV has been a trusted partner to thousands of people just like you. Visit MLV.com and make travel exciting again, or call 800-222-6256. Tell them Ricky Bo sent you.
Welcome back to Phillies Nation. We're here at McStew's in Levittown, and it's time for our batter's inbox questions, where the guys step up to the plate, and I'll pick the winner. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Our first question is, over under 2, how many All-Stars will the Phillies send to Minnesota in July? Pat?
Over under of 2, I'm going under. I think just one Philly is going to make it, and that's going to be Chase Utley. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself. He's had an incredible year. What a start he had. Otherwise, I don't know. Carlos Ruiz has had a pretty decent season, but the offensive numbers don't really jump out at you. He's only got 1 home run, and if you look around the landscape of the National League, there's a lot of good catchers. Buster Posey's going to make it. He makes it every year, as does Yadier Molina. If they do carry 3 catchers, which they tend to do in an All-Star game, it's going to be down to him, Jonathan LaCroix, and maybe one other catcher in the National League. So it's tough to say that Chooch is a definite for the team. Also, Jonathan Papelbon's got a pretty good chance at it, but Houston Street's having a good year. K-Rod's having a good year. That's a bounce-back season from him. Who else is having a good year? Craig Kimbrell always has a good year. He always seems to be an all-star. So as far as relievers are concerned, I can't say that Papelbon is either. Jimmy Rollins, a very good season. But again, it's a numbers game, so I'm going to say under with the caveat that maybe a second gets in there.
I'm going over, which kind of feels weird with a team that's been right around the 500 mark all season and probably will be there at the All-Star break as well. But I'm going over. Chase Utley is a lock. Jonathan Papelbon, you mentioned, I think that he's a lock if he continues to pitch well, because there really aren't too many closers in the National League who have better numbers. You mentioned Craig Kimbrell. He's missed a little bit of a time with an arm injury. Francisco Rodriguez has better numbers. Houston Street maybe has better numbers. But outside of those two, Papelbon has the 3rd best ERA among closers in the National League. Cliff Lee, reputation, based on reputation, and I mean, would you really be surprised if he rolls off 8 starts in a row here where he gives up 1 or 2 runs? I could see Utley, Papelbon, and then Lee, or maybe Jimmy Rollins, because if you look at the shortstops in the NL, the only one who's performed better offensively than Jimmy is Troy Tulowitzki.
But also with relief pitchers, now you've got to put into play the middle relievers that sometimes make it that take away a spot from a guy like Papelbon. So I think under, you think over. All right.
Well, we're going to have to go with Corey on that one.
No,
Sorry.
Of course you are. I
hope I'm right.
We'll see.
We'll see. And our next question says, who is the most important Phillies prospect in the system, not named Biddle or Franco? Corey?
I'm going to go Tommy Joseph. Catching prospect for the Phillies. Last year was a lost year for Tommy Joseph with the concussions and the passed ball issues. But this year he's off to a very good start, hitting .282, OPS close to 900, 5 homers, 19 RBIs, 0 pass balls for Tommy Joseph. And it's not just the production, it's not just the fact that he could be the catcher of the future. It's that if he does make it in the majors, you can finally say that the Phillies got something for one of their trades. When they traded Hunter Pence to the Giants, they got back Tommy Joseph, and if he makes it, you can finally say that the Phillies did well with their return in the trade.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope he does pan out, because that would be nice to have someone that can come up when Carlos Ruiz gets a little too old. But I'm going to go with Severino Gonzalez, and here's why. He's probably projected to be maybe a middle of the rotation starter, maybe a 4, maybe even a 5. But that's important because the guys that the Phillies have brought up recently that are a 4 or a 5, Jonathan Pettibone, Ethan Martin, Vance Worley, they've all basically kind of topped out. They've flamed out. And you need that in a rotation. It's important to have these cost-controlled guys that are cheaper at the back end of your rotation that you can count on. Now, it's not a great example because Severino Gonzalez gave up 10 earned runs in 3 2/3 innings at Reading on Sunday, but nonetheless, he has to pan out because they just need more depth at the major league level when it comes to the starting pitchers.
Sorry, Pat.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, he's paying you off, isn't he?
Pat might as well just go home.
All right. Last question. I need it.
All right, here we go. Look back at the offseason. Which free agent player would look great on the Phillies right now? Pat?
I'm going to go with a relief pitcher because there was Jacoby Ellsbury was out there, Robinson Cano, Masahiro Tanaka, and I wanted him. But they need help at relief pitcher. Joaquin Benoit went to the San Diego Padres on a 2-year contract. He would look great in the Phillies bullpen right now. Again, maybe not a great example. He gave up 2 runs on Sunday, but nonetheless, 2.55 ERA this season. And what do they need most in the bullpen? They need arms, and Joaquin Benoit would be one of them, but they need right-handers that they can count on. They haven't been able to count on guys like Rosenberg and Manship. And let's face it, Mike Adams is coming back from serious shoulder ailments. I don't know how long he's going to be able to do this. Can it be the duration of the season? Maybe, but Joaquin Benoit would have looked great at the 7th or 8th inning.
It's funny that you mentioned Joaquin Benoit because he's on the Padres this year, and he's pretty much been the Mike Adams that Mike Adams was when he was with the Padres, and he would give the Phillies some depth, right-handed relief, set up, and close. The guy I'm looking at is Nelson Cruz, and it might sound a little weird because Marlon Byrd has produced in right field, but just picture this scenario. Okay, first off, Nelson Cruz ended up signing for like 1 year between $7 and $10 million, so it was a short-term, low-risk contract. Had the Phillies have signed Nelson Cruz to a deal like that, they could have also signed Marlon Byrd, and you'd have so much outfield flexibility. You could even put Byrd in center, put Cruz in right, and Dominic Brown in left. It would be a terrible outfield defense, but that would be so much offense. Nelson Cruz early in the season, 10 homers, 30 RBIs at Camden Yards, which is equally hitter-friendly to Citizens Bank Park. I just wonder what he could do in this lineup.
Well, gonna go with you on this
All right,
one. As much like what Corey said, but we definitely need bullpen help.
All right.
Well, that wraps up our Batters Inbox questions for this week. Make sure you leave them for us on our Facebook and Twitter page. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back with more Phillies news.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
We're very excited to implement a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. At Summit Spine and Wellness, we combine chiropractic care, massage therapy, customized nutrition, personal training, and meditation. If you want to improve your health, take the 8 Week to Wellness Challenge like Dan, who lost 32 pounds, 6 inches off his waist, and 94 points off his cholesterol. We use a customized wellness score to measure your health and develop a diet and fitness plan just for you. Call our office at 215-487-2500 and ask about getting set up for your wellness score.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green. Today we're going to talk about a little, some happenings in baseball. It's been happening more recently of late is the batted ball hitting the pitcher in the head or the face or whatever. And it's a scary thought. And as a big league pitcher, the question has been raised to me, do you think about it out there on the mound of that? And I've never really thought about it. And I've been close to being hit a couple times where I felt the ball, I felt the wind off of it come by me, and I just didn't have time to react. I couldn't get my glove up quick enough. It was hit that hard. I mean, as you've seen recently, it happens in a split second. And fielding your position, I mean, you can't throw a ball with your glove in front of your face. You know, you can't do that. You got to be as natural as you can, and go out there and play the game. And sometimes things happen. We don't want to see them happen. It's just, you know, they happen that way. A good analogy for me is playing in the NFL. And if you go out there and you're scared to get hit on the football field, you're not going to be able to play. And it's the same way in baseball. If you're scared of getting hit by a batted ball, or vice versa, a hitter getting hit with a pitch ball, if you're scared of that, you're not going to be a good ball player, and you're not going to stay there long, so to speak, if you get that fear in you. You know, it's a scary thought, but you have to go out there and play the game. You have to play the game and keep it fun.
Thank you, Tommy. Obviously some relevant stuff there because Aroldis Chapman, who was hit in the face with a ball, is back, and he's still throwing over 100 miles an hour. Now, guess who's in town? The Los Angeles Angels and Millville kid Mike Trout. Superstar, one of the best, if not the best player in baseball. He's in town to face the Phillies, who he grew up liking, and he is one of the best of all time, actually, and you've got numbers to support that.
Unprecedented age 20 to 22 seasons for Mike Trout. History of baseball, all time, ages 20 to 22. The only two guys who have compiled more wins above replacement, more WAR than Mike Trout, Ted Williams, Ty Cobb. Probably two of the top 7 who have ever done it, right? So Mike Trout is well on his way to a Hall of Fame career, to multiple MVP awards. Kind of surprising he went 2 years in a row there without winning the MVP, despite ranking in the top 5 in batting average, on base percentage, slugging, steals, you know, everything. But Trout's off actually to kind of a slower start this year. Hitting in the mid-270s, 880 OPS, good numbers, just not up to the lofty standards that he's set for himself yet this year.
And his contract, not a bad one. It's 6 years, what, $140, $150 million. But is it crazy to think that Mike Trout actually left a lot of money on the table? I was seeing things like $300, $400 million, which may actually come as he gets, you know, later and through this contract. What kind of contract can we look at with Mike Trout?
I saw a lot of people saying that by signing the 6-year, $150 million deal with the Angels, Trout left some money on the table. But look, if you're 22 years old and you have a chance to make $150 million, you are signing that. And the other thing, too, is that Mike Trout is so young that by the time this contract ends, he's going to be like 29 years old, not even 30. He's going to be in line for another $250 million deal. So the totality, this might end up being like $400 million for the next, what, 15 years of Mike Trout's career? That's not bad.
That's Ruben Amaro knocking on his door to sign that contract at 29 years old. Now we go to our Twitter trivia. Use the hashtag PNTrivia. Last week's question was this: who led the Phillies in hits during the 1990s? You had a guess?
Was it Mickey Morandini?
It was Mickey Morandini. I bet you looked that one up. This week's question is, since 2004, which Phillies relief pitcher has made the most appearances in a single season?
I'm going to go with Jake Diekman in 2014.
It might happen. It may actually happen.
He's on pace for 81 appearances, but no, that's a very good question. There are a couple names that stick out to me. I'm curious to see who it is.
Yeah, guess at Phillies Nation on Twitter and use the hashtag PNTrivia. And also, before we let you go, 8 years ago on Sunday, Aaron Rowan smashed his face into the center field wall. What do you remember most about that?
I just remember Aaron Rowan being 100% effort all the time, didn't have the elite speed you see from many center fielders, didn't have the makeup speed of a Ben Revere, but he had terrific instincts in center field, and he got to everything, it seemed.
Corey Seidman gets to everything as well. That's it for us here on Phillies Nation. Thank yous all around 2020. Brian Michael, thank you to Ryan, Jay, Kenny Giles, Tommy Green, the whole gang. They're brought to you by BQ Basement Systems, and we're always here at McStew's in Levittown. I am Pat Gallen, he's Corey Seidman. We will talk to you next time here on Phillies Nation.